You know, there's a lot of interesting parts about last night's NBA draft. Really, last night, a lot of interesting parts. One part is which we discussed yesterday, which is there's more. You're like, really? Like, yeah. Well, there's a part two. Why? Why? When I was a kid, my dad loved the movie Weekend at Bernie's. And yes, I know Weekend at Bernie's became kind of got recycled because, frankly, in some ways, our previous president, President Biden, it felt a little bit like Weekend at Bernie's at the time, right? Where he's has somebody have him wave. No, Joe's very much alive and relatively well, although cognitively there's definitely some decline there. But if you know the movie, and by the way, the movie is they went to go stay at was it his Uncle Bernie's house? And Bernie dies, but they're staying at this awesome house. So they're like, who needs to know? Right? It was a one joke movie. I will never forget, ever, my late father loved the movie so much. I don't remember when Weekend at Bernie's 2 came out. I want to say it was like when I was in 8th grade, maybe early in high school. But on a tournament weekend, on a Saturday night, we went all as a team to see Weekend at Bernie's 2. And it worked out about as well as you thought it would work out for a one-joke movie to have a second joke. Like, he's still dead. It's not even funny. Not sure it was that funny the first time around. It's kind of like the NBA draft. And again, you're hearing this from a basketball guy, and I'll just tell you honestly, my dream, like any college basketball player's dream, is to have your name called in the NBA draft. But the 2-day thing, when there's no real reason to pay attention today, other than, the idea of trades and sort of a free agency bonanza. That's it. But there is, there's something to be said for a life in media. There's something to be said for a life in business. There's something to be said for a life in sports. And it's a long life. Don't believe me? Take Nico Harrison. Was kind of an interesting hire coming straight from Nike to be the GM of the Dallas Mavericks. Last year, this time, he looked like a genius. All the moves he had made, from drafting Derek Lively to acquiring Daniel Gafford to trading for Kyrie Irving, all seemed to come together. They went to the NBA Finals, which was very surprising. Even hiring Jason Kidd, right? Like, Jason Kidd has been a really good coach with the Mavericks, but his previous head coaching stop, I believe, was with the Milwaukee Bucks, and it wasn't very well regarded. Just wasn't. He was a part of the Lakers championship team in the bubble. But from hiring Jason Kidd to acquiring Gafford, drafting Lively, trading for Kyrie Irving, extending Kyrie Irving, everything seemed to work, and they got to the NBA Finals. Then you fast forward to this year, and he made the decision, hey, I'm done with Luka. I don't want to have Luka at $300+ million, and we move on. He goes against Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis is oft injured, and shocker then, Anthony Davis gets hurt at halfway through his first game with the Mavericks. And then they're burning him in effigy and having protests and yelling out his name and holding up signs. And you're like, wow, he went from king of the world to you got to get rid of him. Then lo and behold, something interesting happens on the way to him being ousted because fans are just so turned off. They get the number 1 overall pick and they select Cooper Flagg. Here's what Nico Harrison was asked after the draft if he thinks the addition of Cooper Flagg will quell the backlash from his fans.
Nico, piggybacking off that, are you hopeful, optimistic that by drafting Cooper, some of the anger that had been directed at you personally will subside now?
I'm hoping so. I'm assuming so a little bit, maybe.
I'm hoping so. I'm assuming so. One would hope. I didn't understand the whole backlash previously. It didn't help that Mark Cuban didn't have his back. It didn't help that others did not as well. Probably doesn't help that that Luka, although he's done it before, seems to be on a diet this summer and putting out videos that show he's much slimmer and much more engaged. And why wouldn't you do that when you're in Dallas? And oh yeah, by the way, you were set to make a supermax contract, the likes of which we hadn't seen before, in the plus $300 million variety. And if you can't get somebody to get in shape when they're not making $300 million, good luck when they're making $300 million. But I'm good. Again, I disagree with the trade. He knows way more than I know. And my guess is that the owners probably were also like, yeah, we don't want to give that kind of money to a guy that won't stay in shape. And it was a collective decision. It wasn't one man's decision. And that's why he's still employed. But it's just a weird space in sports where you're like, oh, this guy's a genius. No, now he's an idiot. Now he's just lucky. Now he's just lucky. I'm struggling to find a reason to watch tonight. Anybody? You have, it's just the weirdest place where in the draft where you're like, okay, well, I love basketball. I love college basketball, but it's not necessarily covered by college basketball people who really know the college game. They don't do a great job of explaining some of the trades and some of what's maybe that's what round 2 becomes because so many players are in fact traded. You have Jay Billis as an analyst and nobody else. And even Jay, as much as he's been good for a long time, he did NBA games this year. So he knows more about the league, but likely less in terms of depth of seeing the players. It's a weird place. Jay Stu, is there any pitch you could give me for watching tonight? It's night 2 of the NBA draft?
Yeah, LeBron James' son is getting drafted, right?
No. That would be next year's second round, and even then, that would obviously be a reach.
Oh, that was last year.
That was last year. What do you got, Sam?
Yeah, Caitlin Clark is out tonight. That's a reason to watch the NBA draft.
What happened to Caitlin Clark? She got hurt? Or it's just she's missing shots, so she's taking a little break?
A groin, possibly?
Okay.
I want to say one has to do with the other. You played the game, Doug, so you can feel free to contradict everything I'm about to say.
Okay.
She hasn't been right. She's been compromised on the court. Something's bugging her. Monty can confirm, I'm sure, that is this groin injury what she missed all that time with, or is this a new injury? But whatever it is, it's made her compromised on the court, which has made her games less watchable, less enjoyable.
I think she started out with a quad injury, and then right now it's being reported as groin. And yeah, she's been. I don't know if the injury then it must be affecting her shot because it's been really bad.
That NBA draft was so not interesting to so many people on so many levels last night, and I was trying to figure it out. Like, what is it? And obviously, a bunch of it is they're one and dones, And yeah, I love that Con Knuppel went fourth. I think he's tremendous. I think it's really interesting that where the NBA is trending in, you got to be able to guard multiple positions. You got to be able to shoot the basketball. You have to have a high basketball IQ. He's got those things, and because he's not a high flyer. Again, look at the NBA playoffs, and smart and skilled wins. I mean, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is not the greatest athlete in the world. He's just really smart and really skilled, and they kind of built a system around that skill set. But I kind of figured out just an additional reason, or maybe it's a main reason. I mean, I think that not most people don't watch college basketball in the regular season, unlike they used to. Too many games on. NBA games are on all the time. It's hard to follow. Guys transfer all the time, so you don't know who's where or what's going on. The leagues have changed. Rivalries have diminished. All of those things have hurt. Now, you still watch the NCAA tournament, so most people have a defined opinion on people that played in the NCAA tournament. But if you didn't, the two kids from Rutgers, nobody's seen play. But I think the other part to it is the teams that we traditionally care about over the last decade, Lakers, Warriors, Clippers, Knicks. Who else didn't even have a pick last night? Like literally not involved Did the Nuggets? I don't think had a draft pick. So it's like it's not just that you don't know the players; you don't even care about the teams that you're going to. It was a weird night last night where an event that I've covered for 12 years in person. I struggled to get through, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, by the way, if you like tonight," and you're like, tomorrow night is going to be worse, but the same. But the same. But I just, if I tried to nail down the two biggest reasons is, first is nobody knows who these guys are because they're one and gone outside of Cooper Flagg. And the next is that the teams that are involved, and then I think the last part is most of them are so young, they're not going to help you a ton in year one anyway. It's not like the NFL draft where if you draft a quarterback, you're going to start that quarterback. And if you're trying to find kind of a loaded roster with him, or is he going to struggle in his first year?